So apparently taping your mouth shut at night can help you sleep better. So I tried it. Hi there, my name's Tim. I recently made a video about how to sleep better at night. That video was based on science and research. This video is not. This video is exploring 10 obscure methods that I ran across for falling asleep at night. These are methods that I ran into while doing research for that other video. So I thought I would test them out and give them a shot. So today we are going to be looking at 10 obscure methods that I have run across for falling asleep at night and whether in my experience they actually work or not. We're going to be ranking them either beauty sleep or bust. So let's get to it. Now the first method that I tried for falling asleep faster is ASMR. And if you're not aware, ASMR is a sort of video that you're supposed to watch before bed that is supposed to be relaxing, helps you clear your brain, and ideally gives you tingles that would help you to fall asleep faster. Now I've tried ASMR on several occasions and I think it's very interesting. The one thing that I think ASMR is best at is helping to clear your brain. Now, I sometimes struggle with going to bed at night and I get lost in my thoughts of the previous day, all the cool things that happened, all the interesting things that I want to do the next day, all the good accomplishments, and I get busy. And so I try to focus down and think about nothing and fall asleep, but I keep returning back to the things of the day. And I think ASMR is a super effective way of clearing your brain of things like that in order to help you fall asleep better. That said, for me personally, ASMR doesn't really cut it. I'm not really a fan. There are also a couple little issues that I see with ASMR. One issue is that it's on your screen. The research indicates that you should really turn off your screens 1 to 2 hours before bedtime because the blue light decreases your melatonin levels, which is a sleep hormone in your body, which would help you fall asleep. So I don't know if this would actually make a difference with ASMR or not, but it seems like a potential risk. Another issue for me is that I like to sleep with my phone on the other side of the room so that when I get my alarm in the morning, I can wake up, go get the alarm, and move on. But if I'm trying to go to bed at night and watch ASMR, then I have to have my phone next to me and then unplug my phone, take out my earbuds, and then fall asleep. So I wouldn't want to have to take my phone, put it on the other side of the room to have it ready for the next morning. So personally, ASMR isn't great for me. I think ASMR is kind of like pineapple on pizza. You have to try it for yourself and see whether you like it. A lot of people have tried ASMR and it's worked well for them. I kind of see the benefits of it even though I don't use it myself. So on a scale from beauty sleep to bust, I say this is beauty sleep. Give it a shot. The second technique that I ran across for falling asleep faster at night is to read a Senate bill word for word before going to bed. Does this work? Yes, this works. This is very effective. Actually, reading is a pretty commonly accepted technique for falling asleep faster at night. It helps to wind us down and get us in a calmed state. So I would recommend it. And if you can find something that's particularly boring, like reading a Senate bill, then perhaps you'll be able to fall asleep quicker. This reminds me that my pastor would always say that if you struggle with insomnia, you should try reading the genealogy of Jesus before going to bed at night, because it's pretty boring. This person who is the son of this person, who is the son of this person, who happened to have a wife, who begot this person. It's pretty boring, so you'll be able to fall asleep pretty quickly. So, beauty sleep or bust? Beauty sleep. Go read. Maybe a Senate bill. All right, the third technique that I tried for falling asleep faster is using a weighted blanket. Now this is not for somebody who is a young child or somebody who suffers from sleep apnea. If you're either one of those two things, you could seriously suffocate if you try sleeping with a weighted blanket, so please don't. Now the rationale behind using a weighted blanket is that the pressure that the heavy blanket has on your body helps to relax you and help you fall asleep. It's a bit therapeutic. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of research that's been done on using weighted blankets, but there is some evidence to suggest that it may increase serotonin levels, which helps you calm down and get ready for sleep. Using weighted blankets is also often prescribed for people with anxiety or ADHD or autism or insomnia in order to help them sleep better. Now the way that I found out about weighted blankets is that my mother uses a weighted blanket when she sleeps at night, and she says it's really helpful. So that's an example of somebody who thinks it's good. So I tried using a weighted blanket and I thought it was pretty interesting. First thing I'd say is that it feels like you're sleeping while you're receiving a hug. It's like the pressure's on you and it's kind of nice and it feels a bit comfortable, so it's actually quite pleasant. You might think it's uncomfortable having a heavy blanket on top of you, but it's actually kind of nice. Now, as far as the effectiveness of when I tried using a weighted blanket, I found it pretty difficult because the weighted blanket actually makes me a lot hotter at night, and so I could barely try it before I got so hot that I had to take it off. So I think there's potential to use a weighted blanket, but you have to make sure that your climate is cool enough for that environment. This is a really big issue for me because research has demonstrated that having a cooler body temperature is helpful for falling asleep. So I feel like having a weighted blanket might be sort of contradictory to this idea, but it's still worth giving a shot. So beauty sleep or bust. I say weighted blanket is beauty sleep. I'd say give it a shot. The only trouble is weighted blankets tend to be pretty expensive. From my research, I found that they can be anywhere between like $40 all the way up to like $300 if you get a really nice heavy weighted blanket. So maybe give one a shot or borrow one before you buy one. I don't know if you can really borrow a weighted blanket anywhere, so maybe borrow a grizzly bear, have it sleep on you at night, and if you like it, then you can invest in a weighted blanket. So method number 4 for falling asleep faster is essential oils. Now, I found in my research that lavender, jasmine, and chamomile mixes or smells tend to be commonly prescribed for people who want to fall asleep faster. These essential oils are supposed to be relaxing and calming to help you breathe better and fall asleep faster and lower your heart rate so that you'll be able to get to sleep. Now, in my experience, I've tried some of these essential oils and I think that they can be helpful. They're certainly nice, but I don't know if they really work for sure. It's a little bit hard for me to say because I tend to sleep fairly well at night, so it's hard for me to say that I fell asleep definitively faster when I tried diffusing essential oils, but I think it's something definitely worth trying and something that might make falling asleep more pleasurable if you like smell the smell of lavender as you're going to bed. So beauty sleep or bust, I say beauty sleep maybe, or maybe a complete bust, but you have to try it yourself. So apparently taping your mouth shut at night can help you sleep better. So I tried it. So the idea behind this one is that if you tape your mouth shut, then your body will have no choice but to breathe in and out through your nose, which is good for several reasons. For one thing, your nose does a much better job of humidifying and purifying the air that is breathed in from the outside. In addition, nose breathing boosts the nitric oxide in your sinuses, and it can reduce inflammation, improve your sleep, improve your memory, boost your immune system, and even decrease the number of dental cavities that you have. That's because sleeping with your mouth open at night allows more air to get into your teeth, and this exposure to oxygen can increase tooth decay of your teeth. In my research, I even found one dentist who believed that mouth breathing while sleeping was the #1 cause of cavities. I found that really interesting. I always thought that the #1 cause of cavities was like Skittles or chocolate or the entire country of France. Seriously, French desserts are really, really good. But maybe, perhaps. The other selling point of taping your mouth shut at night is that there are some people who, because their mouth is open at night, they get too much air in their mouth, and then their mouth dries out, and so they have to wake up in the middle of the night once or twice in order to get a drink of water and go back to bed. Now that's obviously not ideal because you're waking up, which takes you out of the deep sleep that you were in. So this could be a really effective way of preventing you from getting up in the middle of the night and making it more comfortable for your throat. So of course, I felt compelled to try this myself. I took a piece of tape and ripped it off and then put it on my mouth. I did it vertically. Some people do it horizontally and cover their mouth like this, and then some people even like start layering it back and forth all the way down to their chin. I didn't feel like that was necessary. I just took a small piece of this like medical tape stuff and put it like this. And now if I try to talk or open my mouth, it's extremely difficult. So in theory, this could help me sleep better. So I tried that. What's the verdict? I learned several things from trying this. First, if you have trouble breathing through your nose, don't do this because you might suffocate. Make sure you only do this on a night where you can breathe really nicely through your nose before putting on the tape and preventing yourself from being able to breathe through your mouth. Otherwise, it could be really dangerous. Another thing that I found is that on the first night that I tried this, I was like super stressed and my heart rate went up like crazy when I first put on the piece of tape. So I taped my mouth, I hopped in bed and I rolled over and my heart was just like pounding. It was like, I don't know. I'm not really sure why, but it was super stressful. So that went down the second time that I tried this, but maybe don't do this like the day before something really important because it might mess with your head and you'll be so concentrated on like, oh no, what if I fall asleep or I can't sleep well, or what if this isn't comfortable, or all these different issues. So the first night's a little bit rough. You might get a little bit anxious, but after that, it's mostly fine. So in my opinion, taping your mouth shut is good for two types of people. One, if you suffer from dry mouth and you happen to have like good working nose and you aren't congested, then this is something that you could try. I think that the benefit of not having to wake up in the middle of the night to get a drink and instead remaining in your deep sleep is a super big benefit. So if you happen to suffer from dry mouth, I would give it a shot. I would also recommend this to pretty much everybody as something to do for fun, just because it's really interesting. When I shared that I was going to do this with my family, I got the most ridiculous reactions. It was kind of funny. So I think this could be a great conversation starter. So I would recommend trying this and then talking about it and like bringing it up with your friends. In fact, I quite like bringing it up, pretending like it's not a big deal. So I'll just be like, yeah, so I was like getting ready for bed last night, taping my mouth shut, and then I was doing, and then people cut me off immediately. They're like, what? You're taping your mouth shut? So I think everyone should try this just for fun. It's a really novel thing to do. Try it and give it a shot, and then talk about it with your friends. And it's a really interesting conversational starter. So there's that. Idea number 6 for falling asleep faster is to do a day in review. So the rationale behind this is that at the end of the day, you can lay down in bed and just think about all the things that you did that day. In theory, this can help you fall asleep at night. I tried this and I found the exact opposite. This to me feels like a recipe for stirring up my thoughts and getting my brain firing, which doesn't help me fall asleep. I think if I were to suggest a better way to do it, I might recommend using a day in review to think about all the things that you did that day that were accomplishments, that were satisfying, so you can sit and relax and feel accomplished about the day that you had as a way of calming yourself down before bed. I don't really see that thinking about all the highs and lows of the entire day is effective. So maybe that adaptation would work, but for me, this really is not effective. So I say bust. Idea number 7 for how to fall asleep faster is vigorous exercise before bed. Now, I fully back this. I think that if you get your body moving and you get some exercise, that will definitely help you fall asleep better in the evening. The only caveat is that you want to make sure that you're doing exercise about an hour or more before bedtime. The reason is when you exercise, that will increase your heart rate and increase your adrenaline, which will make it harder for you to fall asleep. Now that said, the evidence is actually kind of split in the scientific community about whether or not exercising directly before bed is actually harmful or not. My dad is famous for saying that you should do push-ups if you can't fall asleep at night. Just get up and do a ton of push-ups until you get tired and then go back to bed. I've tried that and that's somewhat successful. What I personally prefer to do is to do squats like really, really fast. So stand up and just go down, up, like super quickly. And if you try that, then maybe that'll help you feel exhausted. You can lie back down and go to bed. So you can kind of play around with what works best for you, but exercise, this is definitely beauty sleep. Idea number 8 for falling asleep faster is paradoxical intention. Now this is one of the most obscure things that I ran into. The idea behind this is that you will tell your body that you are not allowed to go to bed and you are not allowed to fall asleep. And you will hope that the sort of reverse psychology of it will be that your body will want to fall asleep and then you'll go to bed. So you tell yourself, you're not allowed to fall asleep, you're not allowed to fall asleep, you're not allowed to fall asleep, and then you hope that you'll fall asleep. I was super interested in how this idea got started. Apparently the idea is based on the fact that some people suffer from anxiety when they're trying to fall asleep because they're stressed about the fact that they haven't fallen asleep yet. And so this helps to overcome that by like focusing your brain on the fact that now you aren't allowed to fall asleep, and so that can help you fall asleep. I tried this. I don't think this works. Maybe this can work for you, but I say bust. The 9th idea that I came across for falling asleep faster is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So this requires you to breathe in for a count of 4 and then hold your breath for a count of 7 and then exhale for a count of 8. Now when you're breathing in, you want to breathe in through your nose, and when you're breathing out, you want to breathe out through your mouth with a sort of whooshing sound like and you want to do that to a 4-7-8 count. Now you're not holding it for 4, 7, and 8 seconds, you're holding it for a count of 4, 7, and 8. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 8, and then you repeat. So you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then out for 8. Now I tried this. What's my personal take on this method? I think it's worth trying and that there's some potential, but I didn't really get a chance to use it enough to prove that it was definitively useful or not. From the research that I've done, it helps to do this a lot over a long period of time and your body will get better at it. One advantage that I see is that it can help to clear your brain because you're focusing more on the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you're kind of blocking out all the memories of what you've done that day and other thoughts. So that seems to be helpful. The idea of focusing on your breathing for the purpose of falling asleep is kind of universally recognized. So this is, I think, something definitely worth practicing and trying, even though I didn't do that much practice with it myself. So beauty sleep or bust, I say beauty sleep. Definitely give it a shot. The 10th and final method that I came across for falling asleep faster is the military method. Now, allegedly, the military has used this method to help pilots to be able to fall asleep really quickly. And people claim that if you practice this intently for 6 weeks, then you will be able to fall asleep within just a couple of minutes, 96% of the time. I don't know if that's true or not because I didn't have 6 weeks to practice this, but I've been trying it and it seems to be relatively promising. This technique has a process of steps that you should follow, and at the end, ideally, you'll be asleep. For this method, the majority of the steps require focusing on relaxing specific body parts. So you sort of go in order from the top down. You start with your head and you try to deliberately relax your head and relax your face. Then you move down and you try to deliberately relax your shoulders. You're trying to relieve the tension in your shoulders, and you drop your arms down to your sides. Then you want to move down to your chest, focus on your breathing and try to deliberately relax your chest. Then you move down to your legs. You want to make your thighs and your calves like deliberately relaxed, try to calm them down. Next, you want to picture yourself in a relaxing scene for 10 seconds. That can be sitting in the middle of a pond in a boat, trying to relax, or sitting in the middle of the forest and hearing the birds chirping. You just want to envision yourself in a really relaxing scene. And if that doesn't work, then you want to spend 10 seconds saying to yourself, don't think, don't think, don't think, over and over again. And allegedly, if you practice this enough, after that you will be asleep 10 seconds after you stop saying don't think. As I said earlier, I didn't have an opportunity to practice this for 6 weeks, but I really do dig the idea. So how would I rank this? I would rank this beauty sleep. I'd say this is great. Definitely give it a shot. And that is all, 10 obscure techniques for falling asleep. I hope you learned something today, and maybe I inspired you to try some really unusual techniques for falling asleep. I'm hoping that I convinced somebody to sit down and try to tape their mouth shut. I think it's a novel thing to try, so give it a shot. And if you like this video, I think you might just like the video that I did linked up here where I talked about how to sleep better from a scientific perspective based on the research. So check that video out if you're interested. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.